In this video tutorial, we'll explore Spherize tool. It's a very useful tool and it's going to save you a lot of time and effort. This tool can also be found in the modeling toolkit, where all modeling tools are collected together. You can notice that all parameters are identical, so I'll simply close this one and continue to work in here. So go ahead and create new solid and draw any mask. Press Edit Mask. As you can see, several copies of gradually decreasing masks were created automatically. Now you can click Create Surface. Okay, that's done. And now we have a spherical surface. Very easy, right? It isn't perfectly round, it's just how you drew it. Which is good actually, because it's very difficult to find ideally round surfaces in nature. Now let's go ahead and make our task even more difficult. But let's consider the circumstance in which the mask is not round. And let's say we want to make shoes that are kind of bulging as opposed to just being flat. Here's our mask. Let's edit it. As you can see, the masks are not exactly the way we want them. They don't stick to the center of the first mask, but rather to the center of the bounding box. So to fix that, we must change the scale from standard to vertex normal. And we should specify the size of the narrowest area of the entire shape, because we want to take this into account when creating masks. So I'll specify the size, and I can set that manually. Clearly, we've entered the wrong value, because masks don't aim at the center, but rather create a kind of a bevel on the edge. So let's increase the value to 150. Now, if we click Edit Masks, the result will be different. Not that much. I think 120 should be okay. Okay, good. That's what we wanted. In order not to guess the size from a few times, there's another way. You can quickly calculate the size through a different mask. Just draw it in the area that is the most narrow one. Then select that and also specify the size, like that. Now let's edit masks again. Now everything is correct. Create a surface and get ourselves this form of a shoe. So that's great and very easy to do. Well, that's all you need to know about this tool, so let's go ahead and practice a little bit. Import the image and drag it to the timeline. Now let's scale it to comp size. Raise it a little along Y. Now, as you know, we must find the correct camera position. And I guess we should also increase camera's focal length for this image. So let's make it 35 millimeters. Adjust again. There we go. Well done. Now select both layers and create a projection. We'll call it. 2 copies should be enough for this projection. Alright, great. Now double click second scene and we should prepare the environment. So let's make a table surface and the back. So I'm going to deselect the left side of the grid and click OK. Now let's select bottom part and generate position for our tangerine. The center of our tangerine should be somewhere over here. Alright, then you simply create empty plane and then draw a mask over it. Done. Press Edit Masks. Then create surface. Great, it's done. Let's take a look. There's a tangerine, here's the table, and the back. I'll zoom in and focus on the tangerine. Clearly, it's a sphere. All right, that's great. But there are times when it's not so simple. So, for example, here in this scene, I'll create a plane for the tangerine and I'll mask it. And then I'm gonna apply Spherize. I'm gonna edit masks, create surface. There it is. But it doesn't look right. And that's because it's not facing the camera. And we're kind of looking at it from the side. So I'll switch to custom view. Look, there's our camera. And here's our tangerine. It doesn't really look any good from the camera's point of view because of the way we spherized it. And to fix that, we can go back to active camera view, go a few steps back, and before we edit masks, we need to orient towards the camera. All right, now it's facing it, and because it's distorted, we'll delete it, and we're also gonna have to draw a new one. Edit masks, create surface. All right, that's good. Let's take a quick look from custom view to make sure. And looks like we're done with that. So let's go back to our scene and create leaves. To do that, I'll first have to select the bottom plane and find position. And as we already know, it's in the center of our little tangerine there. Also, the stem starts from the center. So I'll create another empty plane on that spot. And then we also need to move the anchor point to where it starts. Because when we rotate the plane, it doesn't move away from the tangerine. You can see that both stem and the leaves are slightly tilted. All right, and now we can start masking it. There we go. Let's take a look now. Let's mask the space in between the leaves. First one. Second one. Third one. And the last one. All right, good. Done with that. Now let's open masks. Select the ones in between the leaves and change their mode to subtract. Let's take a look again. Yes, everything looks normal now. So we're done modeling. Now let's select the front object, which is the tangerine and the stem with leaves. And let's move them to our first projection scene. Then I'll go to master scene and let's check it now. The tangerine in the first scene, and then the table in the background in the second scene. So now our task is to erase both the fruit and the leaves from the background, because when we try to spin the camera around the fruit, we see that it's projected onto the background, and we don't want that. So I'll go to projection image menu and click edit to remove it altogether. Let's also increase canvas size and draw in those invisible areas so that we can spin around the object at the larger angle without leaving the visible area. So I'll set 3000 next to width. Okay. And now I'll erase those parts with clone stamp. There we go. And I'm also going to restore that area there. Cool. Now the left part. This leaf right here. And it's done. Awesome. So we have a nice clean background now. Cool. Looking good. Okay, it's time to animate the camera. Go to master scene and add keys on both camera position and point of interest. I'll go to the end of the comp to create some movement. Make a pre-render. Okay, it looks great actually. At this point, I wouldn't want the camera to move, but I would like it to spin around the fruit, which is why I need to make this tangerine to become the point of interest of our camera. Let's delete those keys. Then let's go to the second projection scene, select bottom plane, and create null for the camera. We already have generated position here. I'll just drag it over to the left a bit. Then we'll go to generate menu and use position from point. All right, now we can show the camera the thing it should spin around. We'll cut and move our null object to the master scene. Select both camera and null. Go to camera menu and create target. All right, let's rotate it. Add key on Y. And I'll switch to lower resolution to make it work faster. Let's make it spin. There we go. As you can see, now the camera moves around the object just like we wanted it to. Let's take a look. Open position and move forward along the Z. Very nice. I think we're done animating, but we can make it look even more realistic. So let's go for some finishing touches here. So our scene has depth of field and our object clearly has sharp edges. So let's apply some blur to fix that. That's perfect. Looks fine. Okay, it looks like a complete scene now. Let's pre-render again. Excellent. That's beautiful studio animation right there. Alright guys, I hope it made sense and now you have a better understanding of how to work with Spherize. Let's take a look at some more examples.